stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Give me that. To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
There for me. Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June. This is our Who Will Be King show, where we have our representatives from the NFC North. But before we get into our show today, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube, and also for your audio fix, all the aggregators. That's anywhere you can listen to a podcast. You can find us at Bleachers Speakers FFSN in your search. Those will be platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora. Anywhere you can listen to a podcast, you can find us. And these guys that are on this panel, Pay and Dave, they have their shows there as well, and they'll tell you where you can find them as well. So, but before we continue, we'll go around the room in case you've been under a rock and you don't know who these gentlemen are. We'll start with Dave. Dave, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them where they can find you.
I'm Dave, and I'm the executive producer of Vikings First and Skull. And you can find us on YouTube on your favorite podcast aggregator, over at Fans First Sports Network under Vikings tab for written products, and on Facebook. We're all there. And I apologize for my background. I'm in temporary residence at the moment, staying at daughter's house while our new house closes. So I'm camped out in the basement, and you can see it looks like a basement.
Hey, it's okay. We know what the finished product is going to look like. So can't wait to see that. Hey, yeah. Hey, how you doing, man? Introduce yourself to the people in case they don't know.
Hey, for the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, also distributed by Fans First Sports Network. You can find all of our content concerning Chicago in many facets. Anywhere you get your podcast fix, as Dave said, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and all such. Also available on YouTube at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan. And I do not apologize for my background.
And to add to that, these two gentlemen here, like, they have their, if you go check out their shows, I'm pretty sure you'll love what they do. You can see what they do here when it's their turn to host. And plus, it reminded me of was it Tuesday? Was it just yesterday we did the show, the NBA show, and Pay hosted. Pay is like one of the greatest hosts ever, and he holds the fort down and keeps everything going. So check out Dave and Pay's their channels and stuff like that. And I can't forget, I gotta let the better half of Bleachers to Speakers speak. Go ahead, Mr. Foster. How you doing, sir?
B. Foster, the other half of Bleachers to Speakers. You can find everything that we cover as far as the Lions, Tigers, and Pistons on our channel that you're on right now. And then the writing portion of it, you can check out the FFSN and the Pistons, Lions, and Tiger archives. We got some written material as well. But, yeah, excited to see what we got going on today for the show.
I'm just curious, can we get the hell out of Milwaukee now? I mean, we've had enough.
Yeah. Lots of Milwaukee or Wisconsin slander to throw around, because we had a good start to the series, but it kind of shut us down the last two.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last one, right? We headed back.
Yeah, they're home for 4 against the Royals, and hoping for the best with that.
That's Tigers talk, by the way, if anybody's wondering. Tigers lost 2 out of 3, the last 2 in Milwaukee, and they kind of dominated the last 2 games. But I'm sure Foster has a lot to talk about that series. You can check out Corner to Copa on Bleachers and Speakers as well. I'm sure Coach has a lot to say about this series. But anyway,
Hey, I got a quick question. Since you guys are basketball guys, and I don't really follow basketball, not like I used to when I was younger. The question is, how many games is it going to take the Timberwolves to beat the Lakers?
Uh-oh. Here we go. That's a strong
Go ahead, Pick. Go ahead,
take.
Pick. What you got to say?
It would have to be at least 4 days.
At
Yeah,
least, yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
the
think we
question
talked.
I think the question was how many games is it going to take, not how many games does it take
When they win, he said.
when they win.
That's strong.
That's a strong take.
Ooh.
I'm
The
going to say
Lakers, the LeBron and Luka boys are not gonna like that one.
I'm going to say if that
That's the
happens,
whole point.
I'm going to say if it happens, it's going to be 7.
Yeah, I think we said that was going to be one of the more interesting matchups. I think that if the Minnesota does knock off LA, that will be that'll make for some interesting content because they kind of had things kind of set up for them with that trade, especially because Dallas is kind of, they've turned on their owner or whoever made the trade, Nico Harrison. So it's set up for the Lakers to be successful, but Minnesota is not going to be it's not going to be an easy out by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, Sal Spice, who does one of our shows, did it last night. She's got tickets for the 3rd game and the 7th if it goes 7.
It's going to be live.
Well, focusing on football, transitioning from that, have you guys, if anyone have endured a trade from their team, their respective team, a big trade, a shocking trade, and how did you feel about that trade and what was the outcome? I'll go out on a limb and say first, it was the Matt Stafford trade. This is something that I didn't think would happen. We traded Matt Stafford for Goff and a few other draft picks. And at the time, I was kind of frustrated. I was disgusted. Didn't want to see Matt go. I was not a Goff fan at the time. And it was like, we're just, breaking this thing up, tanking. That's what I was thinking. I thought the absolute worst. And Rams got a Super Bowl out of it, and we have Goff has, turned it around some to make us a playoff team for sure. But that was one of the biggest trades out of Detroit Lions where I questioned the direction, and I was very disappointed. Does anybody had that kind of trade for their teams that remind that kind of shocked you there? Dave, I'll ask you first because you've probably been following Vikings a lot longer than we have our teams.
Ours happened in 1989.
Oh,
it was the worst trade in NFL history.
Is that the Herschel Walker joint?
Huh?
Is that the Herschel Walker trade or
Herschel Walker? Our owners got the bright idea that we needed Herschel Walker as the final piece to go to the Super Bowl. And it was thought it would be, except for Bernsey didn't use Herschel like Herschel. And they gave up the farm.
Yeah.
Which led to Dallas's 3 Super Bowls. Directly to Dallas's 3 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
They built up the triplets. They built up everybody. And the whole idea was we traded for Herschel and we traded, I think, 4 or 5 players. And we would get compensation back if the players made the team. And all Jimmy Johnson did was cut them all at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't owe, and we owed even more in the trade. And it devastated the team for years. But
I remember that trade. I was a Herschel Walker fan, and I liked Dallas, and I couldn't believe they traded Herschel.
Yeah, it was. Hey, I liked Herschel too, but Bernsey didn't utilize him as Herschel. Now, the first game, it was brilliant. He took a kickoff return, lost a shoe, or a punt return, lost a shoe on it, ran it back. It's just absolutely wonderful. But then it just went downhill after that.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was a
So
Monday
when you
Night Football game, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you say you didn't use him as him, what in what way do you mean that?
Bernsey tried to stick him in Bernsey's scheme, which is more, and by Bernsey I mean Chuck Burns, best post-game press conference coach ever. There's Denny Green comes in second. We got that. But Chuck Burns was the originator of the West Coast system, even though Walsh took it over. And whereas Herschel was, first off, Herschel didn't believe in much weightlifting. Herschel believed in his calisthenics, all his stuff. And Herschel was a strong dude.
Yeah, let's say ironically enough.
But it was how they implemented the run game and how they used Herschel was against what Herschel was good at.
Like catching out of the backfield, or
Yeah. Herschel was good at, lining up basically in the eye, you hand him the ball and let him go, just like Adrian Peterson did. But they didn't do that. And so they used him wrong, which didn't play to his talents. And it was just a disaster because we lost so many good players in the process. And it led to years of demise until 98, basically, almost a decade.
Yeah. Pay. Any Chicago Bears trade that shocked you?
A Chicago Bears trade of a player that we liked that got sent away. I can't think of anyone that comes to mind in that facet for the Bears, at least. There were shocking trades in which the Bears acquired players. Jay Cutler being, the number one that comes to mind. But spanning outside of football, you had Chris Bryant a few years after the World Series run. Anthony Rizzo on the same team. I think most Chicagoans would definitely compare Luka being sent away to Derrick Rose being traded away as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But, they knew that Derrick Rose wasn't Derrick Rose. He was on his way, man, before that injury. I want to say he was on his way. Yeah. Well, anyway, we got a draft heading next week, approximately 8 days away. You can say 7.5 days away. And I can't wait. It's in that ugly state north of us. We talked about attending
Not north.
West, north. It's still whatever
Green
direction.
Bay's a little bit north, but the state's west.
Yeah, but it's still in an ugly direction from us. I just want to say that. Yeah, but anyway.
It's the middle. It's the guy in the pivot man in the middle. They reside east of Minnesota, north of Chicago, and west of Detroit.
Now, let me ask you this, Dave. Now, would you attend if you were just close to the area, nothing to do? Would you attend the draft in Green Bay?
Oh, yeah. I think the characters would be there. The people watching would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think plus the food is probably pretty good. I hear they do a mean cheese curd and a brat, but it's no, it would be fine. I would partake, but there's Sal talked about it last night on her show. She was debating whether to go up or not because she got invited by the Vikings to come to the day one draft party, and she'll do that. And then she was wondering if she'd go up for day two, and she's like, the cheapest hotel is $600 and it's over an hour away, which I'm sure is in Appleton, Wisconsin. And that's crazy to go to a little podunk town with a football stadium in the middle just to see a draft. That's big time money. But hey, it is what it is. The NFL is going to, get their money's worth out of it. It should be fun to watch. It's going to be, they've set the big stage up. It's set up in the parking lot outside of the stadium. And what do they call that Packers Village thing? It's going to be interesting.
Hey, you're all over the country, and Foster is too. Foster's going to be out of the state this weekend, of course. He's due. Hey, would you attend in Green Bay?
I would love to go to a NFL draft at some point, in my life, but it would have to be planned to the point where I'm not, getting bent over backwards by the NFL, local municipality, wherever the draft is, to the point where I'm not paying $600 a night for a standard room at a Ramada, and still have to drive an hour to get to the spot that I want to be at. That's just absurd for me. The most I've ever spent on a hotel was about $450, about $500 a night. This is a resort, all inclusive, all inclusive resort. Everything's paid for. I've got things going on in the background that's like exactly what I'm here for. Not for any continental breakfast and one of those hard both not Motel 6, but La Quinta Inn. can't do that. Can't, not for that type
Good
of
times at La Quinta.
Yeah, I remember those La Quinta days. Foster, would you attend if you could in Green Bay?
I guess, yeah. I don't see why not. Yeah, if all things, if it made sense, I think we all would if it made sense. But given those circumstances, no, there's a lot more ways to spend that type of currency, for sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm and just speaking from a fan of football, it wouldn't matter where it was. If I, had the means, I had the time, I definitely would attend. I definitely would check it out. I would do my best to be in attendance. I think that'd be a good experience. I should have went to the one that was here. Should have went to the one that was here last year.
The weather was beautiful last year too, because the weather is kind of deciding whether it wants to break now. But I mean, for April in Detroit, it can be a full snowstorm, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything. It was really, really nice last year. There was, obviously a ton of people. The weather was nice. Things were relatively safe. Like it was. It was a good recipe.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Usually it's usually a safe time. I mean, yeah. I mean, we had the. I don't know. I mean, the last time we had a really huge event here prior to that was the Super Bowl back in the day. And that was a pretty safe weekend, pretty good weekend for sports. Unless you want to consider the playoffs last year. I mean, yeah, in the year before. So yeah, it was pretty good atmosphere around here. We do have the draft in 7.5 days, and I want to go around the room. We've talked about this before. We've done in our own personal time like probably 3,000 mock drafts. We've had our pick of the letters with FFSN, and let me start with that instead. We all are part of FFSN, and we have our mock draft. This year's 2 rounds, right? And I wonder where they at now.
Me too. I just thought about it. Probably not far, but we are in the second round somewhere.
No,
you all took so long that Jeff changed and said, you know what, we're just gonna do one.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a long process last year.
last year it was like the pick before us took about 5 days.
And I promise you, as soon as, because he mentioned he started tagging people, so I was right on it when it got to us. But yeah, it took, it's kind of crazy that it takes 7 days to take a pick. It's supposed to take 30 seconds in real life.
Yeah.
And considering how much prep went into it, and everybody was warned and given, hey, get your picks ready, get your strategy down. We're going to start it. We started it, and it lasted a week.
So we'll go around the room. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to go around the room, and I want you to remember who you picked, and I want to know why you went that direction. And more importantly, do you think it's realistic? Because there were some defensive ends around that time. We had our pick, and I was like, this can't be real. Like this is too good to be true. To have this pick of the litter at 28. But we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about who we picked in that mock draft, the realistic, how realistic it was, and then we'll talk about who we wanted those picks. So if you're listening, you're going to hear some wonderful ads from our sponsors. If you're watching, we'll be back in like 10, 15 seconds. Okay, and that's just a reminder to watch Post Game Podcast. We'll be doing a lot. We'll be doing a show, tomorrow, Foster? Talking about basketball?
Yeah, probably tomorrow.
Yeah, the playoffs will be here for the Pistons on Saturday, and me and Foster is doing a show tomorrow. So make sure you tune in there. Make sure you subscribe to Bleachers Speakers, or make sure you're following us on all the aggregators, Post Game Podcast, FFSN, to hear your Pistons pregame show on the playoffs. I think who had the earliest pick? Was it Pay at 10? Now, Pay.
Correct.
Now, according to the FFSN mock draft, who did you pick?
So the Bears drafted at number 10. I tried to trade up with the Carolina Panthers.
Of course you did. You would be the one not just settling for your pick, trying to wheel and deal. Yes.
Well, they offered it. They said, hey, we have the ability to trade if you guys want. So, as we stated, guys were taking, their sweet time. I don't know what they had going on, but, I saw the opportunity there. I said, you know what? Keep pounding network. How would you like to make a trade with the Chicago Bears? We have your original second-round pick. Would you like to have that back? I got no response. So keep pounding network. Went ahead and made their own pick. They selected Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I wanted that Bulldog for the Bears myself, but it wasn't to be. So we settled on my plan B, Armand Membu, the tackle out of Missouri.
Okay. Now that's defensive tackle?
No, that is a offensive tackle. He's got some great footwork, some really good hands. He's really strong. While keeping a good base. His footwork could be a little. His leg kick could be a little bit better in sometimes. And I think the knock on him is that he's kind of short. He's only 6'3" for a tackle.
Yeah,
you may want to see that moved inside, but everything I've seen of him, he looks great on the outside. He doesn't let anybody get into him. He keeps everybody at arm's length, and like I said, he's very strong, and he's pretty good feet. I would look at the leg kick, but his motor when you see him getting around and run blocking and doing his pulls and getting out there and hitting people, creating alleys, I don't have any issues if he was the Bears selection next week. If the Bears go ahead and get him at 10. I'm loving that pick. That means the Bears have upgraded. Well, put in quotations. We have to see how it plays out. But the Bears would have flipped 4/5 of that offensive line in one offseason.
That would be dope.
Which side is he playing on?
he would most likely have to go to the left.
Okay.
I believe in Missouri he played right tackle.
So let's say, for instance, it sounded like you settled for that pick. Realistically, now if you can pick at number 10, who do you want at 10?
I want Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
The Georgia Bulldog. He whips everybody, including Armand Membu. He had his way with everything I've watched on tape. He had no issues with anyone. He's great athletically. He's got excellent pursuit. His technique and dipping his shoulder and creating, and maintaining balance and accelerating through contact to get to the ball carrier, whether that be the running back or the quarterback. It's uncanny. That's the type of stuff that we've come to expect from Georgia defensive players in the last handful of years. He's not getting a lot of buzz, but oh my God, I think he might be one of the rock stars in this draft.
Yeah, he's a definitely a good prospect. We know he won't be at 28, so we kind of like look over that as far as the Lions. But yeah, he would be one of those athletes that we would love to have here. But he won't be here at 28. Dave, your FFSN pick was in. Who'd you draft?
Well, let's get who drafted in front of us. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh, do we have to? Who cares? But we'll talk about Green Bay. Who did they pick?
They picked 20 in the 23rd position.
Okay.
And they picked one of my favorites,
of course,
even though it's a little bit outside the box. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State, to give the professional quarterback somebody to actually throw to.
Number one.
Now, Dave, was that a prospect you had your eyes on?
Yes.
Why didn't you try to trade up?
I was waiting for trades. I let it be known I was hoping for trades because I was actually wanting to trade down. I got nothing. Got no responses. Nobody wanted to come up.
You guys, you knew you weren't going to get a response. These guys took forever to draft.
And then comes Minnesota on the clock. And like I said, I was hoping for a trade to trade down. And I was talked out of my favorite player. For the second time. Did it on one of my shows and then did it here. And then actually on the third time on the Daily Norseman draft. We ended up going with Shavon Revel Jr., cornerback, East Carolina.
I saw that. I did pay attention to what you drafted. I did.
If he hadn't blown his ACL last year, he would have been a top 10 to 15 corner. If he comes healthy, which he should this season, it's going to be a high value pick. And he should work into our starting position, one of the three spots on corner. And you can never have enough corners. Famous
we know
words. You can never have enough corners. And so we selected him. And it's in some, drafts and draft databases, it's a reach. But like I said, if he had been healthy, he would have been a top 10 to 15 draft pick. 6'2", fast, can play what Brian Flores wants him to. Yeah.
Now that sounds like, Dave, I haven't heard anyone mention his name. That sounds like someone that you would pick regardless of how this FFSN draft class went, that you would go out and get that guy with your pick. Is that true, or would you rather have someone else at that?
He's one of the list. Yeah, I've got a handful. We're basically BPA, but we have some needs.
We got time. Tell us who you want to see at that pick.
Interior line is a need. Corners a need. Safeties a need because Harrison Hitman Smith is probably playing his last year. And for safety, you see names like Starks and such like that. But who I wanted so badly, who went just a few picks later to Baltimore, was Gray Zabel. NDSU offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's a good one.
He plays tackle, but he's going to move inside in the pros. He's played all 5 positions in college. He did outstanding at the Senior Bowl. He against big boy talent, even though he came from the FCS school in North Dakota State. I think him at left guard and then eventually moving to center for the Vikings would be absolutely brilliant move. And we would have replaced 3/5 of the line at that point in time. To me, if we get a chance, I want to go Gray Zabel. But that's me. And I have an unusual love for the big round bellies because that's where I come from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good pick. And I just been watching his highlights as well. He's going to be a good one.
I can't tell you how many national drafts I've seen where you guys end up with Gray Zabel.
I've seen it. I think with our pick in FSN, it's very, very possible. I think me and Foster both wanted this person, and he was there. But we had to make a choice because there were so many other people there that we didn't think would be there. But I'll let Foster tell you who we picked, and then I'll ask him who does he want at the 28th pick. So who did you wind up picking, Foster?
So I wound up picking James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. It was a split between him and Michael Williams at that position. It was, damn near flip a coin, but I do like James Pierce's upside. He had pretty good production at Tennessee, obviously against good talent. He's 6'5". He had good measurables, got long arms, good burst off the line. And
good 40 time.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. How could I forget? Yeah, he ran a 4.47, which put him in the upper echelon as far as edge rushers and 40 times. So a lot to like about him. He's got some good, he's going to develop some, playable strength. He's definitely a smaller guy or has less weight on him that he'll be able to put on with a, professional weightlifting program and stuff like that. So I think that would have been, if things work out to that, I think that we can't lose in a situation like that.
Yeah. Now, if you had your pick, and be realistic, don't say Abdul Carter because he won't be at 28.
Right.
Who would be your pick? Who would be the name at the podium you'd like to see the Lions call at 28?
I was definitely keeping my eye out for Mike Green, but he went quite a bit sooner, I think. Well, maybe not a whole lot sooner, but I think that's the dream pick right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see if I could very well see us going offensive line at that spot as well, especially if the guys that whoever Brad Holmes has circled on his board, if they're off, if they're already accounted for, I could see him going in many different directions.
Yeah. I asked this question last year. I'm going to ask it again, and we'll go around the room, and we'll start with Dave. Is there a position that your team could possibly draft for that would disgust you, or a particular person? Is there anyone on the board that will get drafted and you say, damn, I didn't want that? It can be a position. It could be a player.
Interesting question. Edge, maybe.
Yeah,
and I've seen it. I've seen us and mocks get an edge because a super stud edge drops, and we just can't pass it up. Which there's something to be said about best player available.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Grenard or I think his contract's only up for a year or something like that. And those two all-pro guys on our team are getting older. Is it possible? Yeah, but we got two all-pros and then we got Turner.
Mm-hmm. Dallas.
And if you add another first-round pick on top of that, they're going to be playing rock, paper, scissors for hours just to figure out who's getting snaps.
Good problem to have, but
Yeah.
we don't have that problem. Rock, paper, scissors for who wants to go out there with one leg working like that.
It's rock, paper, scissors. Who's ever in the front row that can get out there for us?
But that would be, if we draft a tackle, it's because we're moving them inside. Not a big deal. If we draft a wide receiver, I could deal with that. Well, then we're hoping for 3 deep. If we draft a running back, that's cool. We got 2 good ones, and we, building for the future. It's got to be on the defensive side, and the only one on the defensive side, I could deal with a linebacker. I could deal with safety, obviously. I could deal with interior defensive line, yes. It's got to be an edge.
That's interesting. It's interesting. Pay, I got a feeling that you're going to say wide receiver because I know how you feel about first-round wide receivers. But I'm going to ask anyway. What would make you scratch your head and be like, why? Is there a particular person or a position that they would draft at 10 that'll make you say, what are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah. At 10, in this draft in particular, it will be a running back. In this draft in particular, it will be Austin Johnson. That would probably irk me to no end. If you extrapolate this question to the entire draft, then no, I would not. I definitely want to run it back out of this draft class. Not at 10. I definitely want a wide receiver out of this draft class. Not at 10. But who I don't want to see drafted at all, and all of I think the Bears have 6 picks. Nobody that uses their feet for majority of their ability to get paid. I'm talking about kickers, punters, whatever you want to call them. Don't draft another one of those. The Bears drafted one of those last draft in the 4th round. That didn't go over too well. The boys got a boot on them, but we needed a playmaker, not somebody to give the ball away at the number in the 4th round last year. So Ryan Post, you are not allowed to draft a punter or kicker in this draft at all. But at number 10, I will be so mad if he used that pick to get Austin Jensen.
Yeah, you've had those sentiments before, so I believe it. And
he's supposed to be the next LT.
There's a lot of mock drafts that have him going to the Bears.
Oh yes, there are.
Yeah, he can be a fantastic player. I don't doubt that he is. The measurables and some of the other things that I've seen, out of his pro day, it doesn't strike me as a number 10 pick. It strikes me as somebody that, is a luxury pick. We've seen this out of the Bears and under the Ryan Poles regime a lot, doing the luxury pick, drafting guys and, making acquisitions that we're not in that we don't have a necessary need for. It's things that winning teams can do. Yeah, winning teams can trade back and draft wide receivers. We already have wide receivers. Winning teams can draft running backs when you're still trying to, you can draft running backs because you obviously have a need for running back because you already have the offensive line that can facilitate his growth and potential for make that pick worthwhile. The Bears are not in this position. The Bears are a 5-win team. The Bears need to focus on building up the framework to be a good team, and then having a running back that you can possibly make successful. None of this, like I said, getting the hood ornament on a beat up car or putting 312s in the trunk when you know you need brakes. I don't want to see the Bears do anything like that.
You'd rather hope Will Campbell drops past the Patriots than you've selected.
I would love that. Will Campbell is a fine specimen for an offensive lineman. Like as I said, Armand Membu was my plan B. Jalen Walker is a plan A. These guys will fit the mold of what the Bears are trying to create. A running back, even though again the Bears do need a running back. I don't think Jadre Swift is the long-term answer, and this draft class does provide a running back that we can have for 4 years and monetarily cheap, so we could get some good use out of that. And a lot of these guys look like some studs, but at 10, come on, we got to have somebody that's gonna be around for an era, and we got to have it. Got to be somebody who has a longer. They can make a longer footprint than any running back. So not for me, Clyde.
Would anybody be excited if they selected a tight end?
Don't go there, Dave. Let's.
I'm just questioning. It's possible for the Vikings. It's possible for the Bears.
You know our history.
You know, you guys have a proclivity of doing that.
You know we have a history of doing that, and that would be my answer to the question. If we drafted a tight end at 28, that would really, really irk me. And I
the last two were good now, June.
Foster, you're hanging on to this family.
But how long did it take to get that good?
You said what, Dave?
How long did it take them to get good? Generally, like I've always said, you're drafting a tight end for his next team. It's a long, drawn out process. And if you get him to play early, and especially as a rookie, it's a unicorn.
So Laporta was a unicorn then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a unicorn.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What I'm saying, Foster, is we have a linebacker. We have a tight end. We have a starter at tight end. You don't have to draft one at 10. That's all I'm saying. But who would
take to feed a unicorn? You know, unicorns graze up for a large area. Do I have enough grass to feed 2 unicorns? I don't necessarily think I do.
Mm-hmm. Foster, who would make you mad? What position or person would make you mad when they say their name at 28 on draft day?
I don't have a particular person in mind, but there's certainly some positions that would confuse me. I can pretty much wrap my head around a lot of different things, even if they're not, high priority, but I think a quarterback in the first round or a running back would be the 2 ones. I could even see a receiver in some, because most teams are 3-4 deep. Obviously, we know as far as depth is concerned, that's important. So even if we found a way to get another corner, that would be kind of wild. But yeah, running back couldn't figure out how that would make sense. And QB wise, obviously they wouldn't be coming to take Jared Goff's job, but it would certainly mean that that they've given up on Hendon Hooker and that they're planning for the predecessor to Goff, which we're hoping is Hendon Hooker. So that would speak volumes for sure. I'm sure it spoke volumes to Kirk Cousins when they went after Penix, that it ain't all, it's not all as sweet as it appeared. So
that was a weird pick by them last year. I just, but
makes more sense now because
it worked out though.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, they got a starter and they pissed off Kirk Cousins. I think it was a brilliant move.
Yeah, it worked out for them. They like Penix. It definitely worked out for them. Let's see. We do have. Let me ask you something because I'm not quite sure. The draft schedule Thursday, right? It's just one round or is it 2?
1.
It's just one, and the rest is over the weekend, Friday, Saturday.
Right. 2 and 3 on Friday, and then 4 through 7 on Saturday.
Now, is 2 and 3 on Friday? Is that early or is that prime time?
Prime time.
Okay. So I know Saturday they'll start around noon and finish it off. Okay. Yeah, I never get that right, but I know that's going to be It's going to be very entertaining to watch. The next show will be like NFL Draft Eve, and yeah, it's on Dave. It's on Dave, and then the actual show for the draft will be on Pay, so we'll be able to discuss our grades and how we think we did, and this, that, and other. It's going to be. We got a great couple of weeks of talk shows as far as football. I mean, the season may be over, but the talk never stops, and it is what it is, man. Foster, there's been some rumors going around in Detroit, staff. I mean, player wise. We talked about that. I think it was offline, but we definitely want to address those and tell Dave and Pay what we've been hearing, what they're saying around here. And then we'll get to them and see if they've heard anything around their respective teams. But Foster, what's been swirling in the wind about the Lions lately?
So the talks, well, we've talked about Amik Robertson, and obviously it appears that, there may not be room for him to, with hopefully Ennis Reckenstraw coming back, the guy that we drafted. Was that the second? Was that the second round?
That was first. That was second round.
That was second round, yeah. But we went back to back with corners, so obviously we're hoping that hamstring situation is out the way. And then, of course, we went out and got Maddox and Rocky Sin as well. So, it appears that they're kind of pushing Robertson out of the fold. But that's kind of the old news. But also they've talked about Jameson Williams. Now, I don't know if it has to do with the fact that I feel like it's concurrent with the fact that Isaiah Bond, the Texas receiver, had a meeting with Detroit. And so I feel like as soon as we started seeing news about that, we also started seeing that they might be trading Jamo on draft day. We do know that we have a lot of guys that we need to extend as far as our younger guys like Kirby Joseph and Hutch, of course, and then down the line maybe a Branch or a Gibbs. So somebody's not going to get their due amount of money, and we've definitely talked about it possibly being Jameson Williams. And when you look at the build when you look at Isaiah Bond, they kind of fit that same mold. 5'11", 190, big play guys. They work down the field, but can be outside receivers, play that number 2 alongside Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, we've had our ups and downs with Jameson Williams. It's always been one thing or another the last couple of years, but he has developed and turned into a pretty decent receiver. So I think that departure would be bittersweet, but hey, and I'm also not a big fan of the fact that we could be possibly replacing him with Isaiah Bond, somebody that also had to
a little bit of trouble there,
turn himself into jail and turn himself. It's like you're kind of replacing,
the trouble with the trouble.
6 of one and half a dozen of the other when you really think about it. So a lot of thoughts about that. I need to read into it a little bit more, but I assume he's a guy that's going to be up for a pretty big contract, and you might as well get as much value as we can. But I'll be back. I gotta
go ahead, man. Hand me a channel.
Any idea who you're going to trade with?
They didn't say.
Right. Yeah.
They just put it on the floor that this was. There was a beat writer out of Detroit, for the Detroit Free Press or Detroit News, one of them.
I think I saw something on it,
and he said that he could see Jamo being traded, for I guess for a draft pick or moving or something because of just Brad Holmes' statement on him and stuff like that, and things that have been going on. So there's that, and then there was also like Foster stated, the Amik Robertson scenario. And then at one point they was talking about Alex and how say his last name, bro?
Say that
Anzalone.
Anzalone.
That he was mixed. He was mentioned in trade talks as well, not from the Lions, but from beat writers that they could possibly see a trade for him. And he's our best linebacker, in my opinion. So it was like, what are we doing? So
there's
anyway.
a proposed trade out there. Somebody did throw out a potential team, and it was the Dallas Cowboys. And in this scenario, we would receive the number 12 pick and our third round pick, and they would receive JMO and our number 28 pick, the first round. So we would swap first round picks, and we would swap first round picks, and then we would get a third on top of that.
I don't want it.
Number 12, number 12, you're gonna get whoever you want edge wise. Well, no, you're not gonna get Abdul Carter, but you can go out and
Williams, whoever
you want.
Yeah.
Or maybe a top-notch offensive lineman. Campbell will be gone, but so it's kind of a weird spot because it's like it's up 16 spots, but it ain't top 5. You ain't getting every, so
I don't want to leave. I don't want JMO to leave.
Yeah.
That's just it.
It's more of an emotional, personal.
I'll get over it. I'll get over it if it happens. But for the time being, keep the troublemaker here. Pay. Any rumors in the wind in Chicago over there? How things are going over there off 63rd, St. Lawrence?
Well, Chicago did just re-sign Kyler Gordon to make him the highest paid nickel cornerback in the league right now.
Saw that.
We love it when the guys get rewarded and stay in house. Kyler Gordon is he's become a fan favorite, at least here at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan. We love Kyler Gordon. He brings a certain tenacity that you love to see out of the secondary. As you know, with a nickelback, you got to be physical. You got to be able to play tight ends, slot receivers, and defend the run. And you got to be able to do all these things. And Kyler Gordon excels in all three of those levels. So, shout out to him for getting that bag. Next up, hopefully, some of the other guys that we like in secondary, Mr. Yoquan Brisker, perhaps.
Okay. Dave, any rumors or news around your camp?
No.
You know what? I've never got a one-word answer from Dave, like ever.
There's more. There's more.
Okay.
Not this time. I mean, there's still the old BS bubbling around.
Okay.
About a certain old quarterback. There is also stuff about Kirk Cousins. He supposedly wants paid to be a backup, even though his salary is going to be guaranteed by the Falcons. No. But other than that, I don't know of any. I know there are some brewing across the league. I'm hearing there's handful that may be done draft day prior to the start of the draft. This is what? First time since like 2002 that all 32 teams have a first round pick. And that is unusual. And it may change by the time the clock starts. But we'll find out. Will Tennessee keep number 1 or will they trade it? I don't know. How far will Shedeur Sanders fall? There's all sorts of storylines going now.
Yeah, I think he had a great camp. I mean, a great pro day at Colorado.
Yeah, but he seems to be falling right now down draft board.
He's still falling. Like, he threw the ball very well.
Mhm.
Are we in agreement that Cam Ward is the first quarterback off the board?
I think so.
I don't know. Jackson Dart is. Yeah, I agree. Cam Ward is first guy on.
I'm gonna tell you how sure. Who has the first pick? That would be who?
Tennessee Titans.
Okay, this is how I know, right? They asked Cam Ward who was his favorite players in the NFL, and he named all Tennessee Titans. He actually said Calvin Ridley was a better wide receiver than it was someone else out there, and it was like, no, there's no way.
Justin Jefferson or Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it was something like that, and it was like, yeah, you're going there, you're buttering your biscuits there, buddy. No. So yeah, you're being a great teammate already. So yeah, I kind of feeling that he'll be a Tennessee Titan. Gotta be.
Now, the question is, will he succeed?
That remains to be seen. He has an offensive guard to protect him, Kevin Zeitler, when he left us and went there. Yes, I'm bitter. Yes.
But I'm seeing all sorts of talk about next year's draft class for quarterbacks is so much better.
We got to look into that because I don't know who the draft class is. That's going to be interesting.
Arch Manning's going to be number one.
For sure.
Did he even play a full year in Texas?
He didn't play. He was a backup. And he's transferring this year. He's playing at Ole Miss. He left Texas. He's going to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He's at Ole Miss now. He's definitely going to start next year.
Well, he's going to start in Texas.
He's going to start in Texas anyway, though.
Transfer. Okay.
That's where Eli went, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To leave Texas.
Yeah, he left Texas. He joined.
I thought he went to Texas because Dad played there.
Yeah, but he probably thought he was going to play this year. I thought he was going to play.
I mean, but he was
not this year, but
he definitely was primed to play next year for sure.
All those receivers leaving too, Bond and
they had a
Golden.
Yeah, they've had a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It's one of the highest NIL teams in college football.
Yeah, new crop
people.
Yeah, it's Texas.
Yeah.
Texas.
Well, fellas, that about do it for today. We'll close. We'll let Foster put a bow on it after everyone else tells you where you can find you. Pay what you got going on next, and tell the people where they can find you.
We've got some NBA preseason coverage, not preseason, but play-in coverage coming for those Chicago Bulls. We have a WNBA season primer we got going on for Chicago Sky, and this is all leading up into the watch party for the NFL draft next Thursday that we will have right here at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. That will be live. Catch us out there on YouTube, Facebook, X, wherever you can catch that stream. Sure to be lots of fun. I'm sure one of those 9 teams drafting in front of the Bears are going to do something crazy to help the Bears get that prospect that I got my fingers crossed for. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons again this year. Who knows? Let's find out.
Bulls play tonight, right?
The Bulls do play tonight in just under 90 minutes.
Okay. And they're playing who?
They will be playing the Miami Heat for a second year. Chicago culture versus the Heat culture. Let's find out. Dave, what you got going on and where can they find you?
Tonight on the Real Forno Show, we are talking about how Kwesi shapes the draft. We're going over the last few years and how he's taken the top 30 visits and either drafted directly from them or drafted adjacent, i.e. had a player in from a school and then took his buddy that was at that school, and how it plays into this year's draft and this year's top 30 visit. And they can find us, pardon me for the dogs, find us on Vikings First and Skull YouTube page. We'll go live shortly after 6 p.m. Central.
Merlin thinks that you somebody out there, Dave.
I'm sure there is somebody out front.
B. Foster, put a bow on this so we can get out of here. What you got going on? Where can we find whatever you got going on?
Well, we're definitely going to have a show to preview the beginning of the Knicks and Pistons series. This is the first time we've been in the playoffs in a couple of years. We hope to get off the schneid. As we talked about yesterday, we have not won a game, let alone a series. We have not won a game since 2008. So we need to get that out the way as soon as possible. Our first game is on Saturday afternoon in New York. But outside of that, me and Coach do a show every Sunday afternoon to recap a week in Tigers baseball. I think we're in first place still, but just had a tough series in Milwaukee. And then just a little bit more draft coverage before we get to the big day that starts on Thursday next week. So a couple more profiles on the way. And just subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, I'm just going to end it with asking everyone to please subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube. We are getting close to that 250 mark as far as subscribers. I remember when we just had one. So for those that have subscribed, we appreciate you. If you are subscribed, please check out the material, check out the content, like, share, comment. So, it help us get in the algorithm. And just subscribe to the Bleachers Speakers on YouTube. And if you're listening, please continue to do so. If you're watching and not listening, check us out for your audio fix on anywhere you can find a podcast. Just type in Bleachers Speakers, FFSN in your search. Make sure you're following us. Make sure that notification bell is on. So when we drop content, you'll get an alert and download those episodes. We like to know who's listening, where you're listening from, so we can target those areas that's not getting the message or the material. So, fellas, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want you to wish you luck. I hope that the time goes fast between now and next week. For my team, there's a pressing need, right? And I just hope we address it, and I'm just waiting to see how that goes. So. Thanks a lot, fellas. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels and keep watching our material. We thank you for being here and thank you for listening.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting shit slide and